Alright guys, here with the new riser limbs. I'm gonna do a quick setup. This will not be a tune. I'm gonna just, do the normal stuff. I'll do string alignment, limb alignment, torsional stability check stuff. I'll check that stuff, put the rest on, change the grip out. The normal things I would do to set up, and then I'll go shoot today for the first time and then tune it. So here's all the stuff I have with me right now. It's all normal, just all the basic stuff. So the riser of the limbs, I have a string right here. I got a new rest from Anton. Don't ask me what I did with it. It's right here in front of me, stupid. Got a new rest from Anton. So I'll be putting this one on. I was shooting the light magnet, one magnet, and this one is two, I think it's like 10% difference, I think is what he told me. Hard to tell at the moment what this feels like. The one magnet was working just fine, so I might go back to that if this one doesn't work. I don't know. Just telling you what my opinion is. Like I said, I liked what I was using, and this one feels a little heavier, but I don't know. We'll have to put it on, shoot it, and see. I'm gonna need some other stuff. I need to get my plunger. I need to get the other grip I'll put on, and my fighter blocks. Here's one, I don't know where the other one is, and my tuning forks. So let me get all that stuff, and then we'll get to putting this thing together. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is take the stock grip off and put on my Jaeger. This is the JD3 grip. I'll put that one on. That's going to be my start. And I actually like the HOYT grip. It's just a little high of an angle for string walking or crawling. Just a little too much of an angle. I like a little flatter grip. So I'm going to take this one off. I wish this was a little tackier compound too. This compound's decent. It's a very soft feel, but it tends to, with a sweaty hand, it tends to just get a little slick. It's a little slippery. Yeah, you can put grip tape on it and things of that nature, but I love the rubber compound of the Jaeger grips, and I love that ridge that's on this JD3 grip. I think that's kind of fun. That green on white gives it some pop. It's not so just black and white. I'll probably either put this one on or my orange one. Those are my two go-tos. But this is what I'll do first before I do anything. It's just easier to do, and just quick flip the bow over and get this thing on. And then next we'll put those limbs on, and then we'll look at the alignment and see if anything needs to change there. So that's that. And then I have, these limbs are 40 longs. I remember I showed you in that unboxing video, black on the bottom, you can see the carbon weave, and then white on top. It's kind of fun. In my unboxing video, I was mentioning limbs that I had with that were white, and those were the Integra limbs, and what was crazy, the finish on those chipped off. It actually chipped off from my Bojack, which is weird. It was like, it's just a simple rubber compound, and I clamp it on, and then when I take it off, it would actually take paint with it. And there's rubber on the inside, and it still took the finish off of that. It was just the finish, it was just the paint and the clear coat. I don't know how it happened, but every time I used it, it would flake that off. So I'm hoping this doesn't happen to this. I usually use a bow stand. Julie had been using the Bojacks, and she was noticing that the paint was coming off with it, so that kind of annoyed me. But I'm hoping that this doesn't happen with this particular limb. So here's my bottom limb. Oh yeah, so real quick, that rocker system, it's still the old system where we have the soft, medium, and hard feel, and I can see this is down at the bottom, which is that hard feel. Being that we're shooting indoor, I'll probably move this. I should do that right now. Actually, I'll get that moved over to the soft feel, which I prefer a little more of, go through my Allen wrenches here. I prefer that feel for indoor, and I might need to shim these. There's a decent chance I will need to shim these, so I will put this in place where I like them in the soft feel position or the soft position. It's a pretty quick swap out, and I'll what I'll do is I'll move over there and show you. I'll move the camera over here to show you how I do this. And that was, look how quick that was. That was one side, and I just give it a little extra. Let me move the camera over so you can see what I do and how I do that. Here's what we're doing. I zoom this in. I move these rockers from this position to this position. It's pretty quick. Again, I'll just flip it, do it on this side. I'm trying to look in the camera as I do this. Show you how quick and easy it is. Just unscrew that and then just shift it up to that top position and screw it in place. That quick and easy. There you go. Just unscrew it and then slide it. Oh, can't get a grip on it. Sometimes I just keep that Allen key in there and it kind of holds it. Yeah, quick and easy. Make a fool of me. Here, just grab it like that. There we go. And then right into position, and that's it. That's all to it. And again, I don't wrench these down. They're very delicate screws. I just tiny, tiny little, and that's it. It's done. All right, on to the next. Okay, so let's get to mounting the limbs. Here's my top limb. Put that in place, easy peasy. Here's the bottom limb, same deal. Snaps right into place, easy peasy. And here's a string. It is not a new one, gas bowstrings. I'm just pulling this off of another bow. I will have to order a new bowstring for this bow. I've been running this string for over a year, I believe. Due for a new one. I'll just use this one for now until I get a new one. And let's loop this on, loop this on. I do not use a bowstringer, but if you're not sure how to do this, use a bowstringer, and I just snap it into place. So there it is. That's the bow, limbs mounted. That is white. Woo, that is white. And that green on there just kind of helps give it a little deviation of the white color. Just kind of a fun little pop in the whole grand scheme of things here. So I'm gonna go get a pillow, and that's what I use to kind of hold this in place while I look at that limb alignment to make sure to see if those limbs need a shim for that torsion, for that side to side limb alignment. So there are people that can look down it. I am not one of those people. I kind of like to use the tools, and the tool I use are these tuning forks. It's all I use the tuning forks for. It's just that one thing. But I need to balance the bow. Yeah, there we go. I guess I could do that, I suppose. Just let it balance. But the pillow kind of makes it nice so I don't have to deal with that. This is perfect. So you can't see this. I'll just turn it around that maybe you can see where that tuning fork is running right down the middle of the string, and that limb is not twisted in any way. I can see that as well. You can look for limb twist just by simply looking down it this way, like I'm doing, like the direction I'm looking at. If there was a twist, I'd be able to see it pretty quick. And then I'll just do the other side. I rarely find where they don't need a shim, but it happens sometimes. That is absolutely perfect. So these line up ideal. I mean, it's running right down the middle. Here again, I'll show you. There's one, you can see that tuning fork off to the side. It's running right down the middle. Sorry, that's kind of hard to do with the camera. And then here's the other side again. And that's running right down the middle. Try to align that with the camera, if you can see it. That's what I like the tuning forks for. I don't usually use the tuning forks to help me with the center shot at all. I can keep it up here, it's fine, it'll be helpful, but my go-to are the biter blocks. These are kind of an indispensable tool. These work phenomenal.
But before we even do this, we're gonna slap the rest on, and we're gonna put a plunger on as well. So let me go grab those things and we'll get that mounted up. I'm back, and now what I have here is a biter plunger that I got from HOYT. If you were or were not aware, HOYT does have plungers on their website you can get. They have Whiffler and they have biter. The neat thing about this one, and just like if you can see that, it says HOYT on it, it says biter and HOYT. And so does the Whiffler. I believe the Whiffler also says HOYT on it as well. I will be using this to set this up. My Whiffler plunger is on my other bow, which I've been shooting. I don't want to take that bow apart. I'm going to leave it as is, just because I know it has somewhat of a tune for indoor. I'm trying to get this tuned up as quick as I can, because I'm going to Texas next week to do the Texas Ringer indoor shoot. Would be my first one of the year. So I'll run this plunger and I'll put this rest on. Again, I mentioned this is one of Anton's rest, the Ant Barebow rest. It's got a little more magnet than the one I was currently using. It's hard to tell how much tension that is or what that feels like. But indoor, I do shoot the heavy aluminum arrow. I shoot a 21 series arrow with like 150 grain point. It's a significant difference than running, an outdoor carbon arrow. The but is, with this setup I want to shoot for this Texas Ringer, I do want to shoot my Easton Parallel Pros. They are light. They're in the 300 grain range. But what I'll do is I'll set this up as if I'm shooting those Easton RX7s. Like I said, this is a little on the heavy side. I don't know how it's going to perform yet. I can't even make an assessment without shooting it. So that being said, let's get out the Vertitune plate. I think they changed the name of that though. Where's my knife? Here's my knife. I like to keep everything kind of clean. You don't have to, but I like to not just rip bags open. I like to kind of keep things kind of small and clean. And so what's in this bag is the clicker plate. Looks like the center clicker plate and the little clicker arm, I guess little metal arm, which I will not be using. I don't need, as I don't shoot a clicker. What else is in here? The usual tools. HOYT always sends like a pack of 7 or 8 Allen wrenches and their super rest. It's a little plastic flipper rest, which I know is a very, very valuable thing. People use it. It's not super durable, but it works just fine. And then of course the keychain, the user's manual, and all that jazz. So what I'm looking at, yeah, so there's only one, it looks like there's only one plate here, and it's the center. I don't see in the package, there's no other plate. So they've kind of gone away from having the Vertitune plate where it was a high, medium, and low. All I have is the medium. There's no other setting, which is interesting because it kind of takes away some available tuning if you needed to. This, you're limited now with this particular one piece versus 3. So that's okay. I'm fine with that. I'll make it work. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that it does take some away. So here's that plate. It's only the medium, it looks like. And here's the backing, which we do need. And yep, just one, right? So if there were 2, it would be offset, and this one's center and center. So this part goes on the back, and then this part goes on the front, if you can see that. So it's a lot different than the way it used to be, whereas now the riser encompasses this whole plate, whereas, hold on one sec, I'll get another bow real quick. Whereas the old plate, as you can see, went end to end, went through the middle, and then I could pick and choose whether I want the high, medium, or the low. And this one is the medium. That being said, I'm just gonna put this back up to the side. Gonna be curious to see how this works, just having one. I'm, like I said, totally fine with it. And I don't need these. If I were shooting Olympic recurve, I would use those two little pieces. It's the bolt that holds the back of the plate on and a little washer. I don't need them. I'll just put them off to the side. Actually, I'll put them back in the box. And we will mount this rest on, like I said, just a little stiffer. Be curious to see how that works. I've had no problem with the one magnet. I've really actually enjoyed the one magnet. It works for the light arrows and the heavier arrow. And then I have my plunger. Just curious about something. All right, anyway, so let's put this all in place. I'm just gonna hand screw this in for now. I'm not gonna worry about center shot. I'm gonna have to make some adjustments with this arm. The arrow rest arm, I will have to make some adjustments, meaning I'm gonna have to move it in and out and or bend it. If you can see at this position where it's at, it's actually hitting the plunger. There's not much of a drop in it. I can move it back, of course. In other words, I can slide it forward and slide it back and give myself room. I actually like the end of the arm to sit at the plunger. When I make the bend, I'll fine tune that to where I want it to be. So I'm gonna put that in place just preliminarily, and then Anton sends this bolt as the mounting bolt for the rest, and you're going to want that on as well. That being said, it's actually, he's got a little extra magnet in there, which I doubt I'm gonna use, but the last bolts were not long enough to hit the threads if I use the washer. There's just a few threads, like this bolt to Anton almost needs to be a little longer. I'm gonna try this, see how it works out. As long as I catch a couple threads, I'm totally fine with that. I forgot what size this is. There we go, 3/16. Put that in. I'm not catching any threads, and that's without the washer. So what I'm gonna have to do, which I'm pretty sure I do have, are other bolts that are longer. So let me go find one and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. And what I have here, have the bolt that Anton provides with that rest, and I'm not sure the length, but it looks like a 1/2 inch. And then here's one I had hanging around. I think that's like a 3/4 inch. I'll have to ask Anton what he provides, but this bolt is not long enough. And this one almost looks too long, but we'll see. I'll put it in place, see if it threads up. Yep, catching threads. Yep, I'm just gonna snug it down to see if it comes through the other side, which it does not. And I can see you won't be able to see that. Oh, maybe you can. It's sticking out, or it's not sticking out, which is what I was worried about. I'm not sure where this is center shot. The rest is new, the plunger's new. I have no idea. We're gonna have to put it and look through the biter blocks, put an arrow on there and make sense of it. And you keep seeing me check this. I'm just checking because some of the original rests that Anton had sent me I thought were a little stiff, and I've been using the lighter magnet. And this one is kind of on the light side compared to the light one, which is right here. And I can tell it feels significantly different. There's really no way for me to measure what that is. I really do like this one. It's super light. But we're gonna try it regardless. We're gonna make it work or not. Okay, anyway, done with this portion, and all we did was mount this up. I won't tighten this stuff down until I know how I have to move that center shot. And that means I'll take the plunger off and I'll adjust the center shot accordingly with the limbs and the bigger arrow. So let's go do that. Okay, don't mind my mess. My usual, my usual workbench here. I don't have a bow vise. What I use, because I don't have a vise and they're quite expensive, I have one of these. It's got a lag bolt in it and it's just a hook, I believe, meant to hold like garden tools or a rake, a shovel, things of that nature. And I just put it on this angle, and I've learned years ago that this actually works really well because you don't want to influence the limbs. I can actually take this and put it in these holes, and it holds it quite nice. And I don't have to touch anything. It just sits in this position. I can lower it or I can raise it as I need to hold this bow in position while I work on it and do things. And this is just a simple method I've figured out just by using that little fork. Like I said, meant for garden tools, if I'm not mistaken. And this tends to work really well for me. So this is on. I'm going to see if I can't back this out. I got arrows everywhere. I'm making arrows for a student. Okay. And then what I'll do is I'll take the biter blocks. I'll put those in place. And, we can do this a couple different ways. I can keep them low, move them up. I also have, I have the tuning fork still on there. They'll be helpful. They're not the end all be all for me, but they will be helpful if I need. And then I have the blocks on there. And now I'm just going to get an arrow. Okay, so you can see here the relation of the arm to the plunger is in the way. Now, the cool thing about the Anton rest is it's adjustable, and I can just simply loosen this arm or this bolt here, and that will loosen this whole pivot point. And I can just lower and raise it accordingly. So right now I'm going to lower it down significantly because I'm going to have to bend it back up. So I'm going to lower it down. I'm not going to super tighten it. I'm just going to snug it and get it kind of in a spot where I want it ish, right? Not exactly where it's going to be. And I'm going to move it forward as well. So I'm going to need to move this bolt out a little bit, move it forward, because when I bend it, it's going to take some distance out. It's very minimal. We're talking about 1 millimeter or 2. But the way I like it, I like the end of the arm to pretty much be at the end of the plunger. I'm going to bump it forward just a hair, just to kind of give me a little extra play. So let me do that. Okay, so I'm on the back side now. I'm going to unscrew that just a bit, slide it forward just a bit, ever so slight. I went about 3 millimeters, and then gently snug it back into place. Yeah, that's about 4 or 5 millimeters in front of that. So when I bend it, it'll lose a little bit of distance because I'm going to bend from here and then turn it back up. So I'll lose a little bit of distance, not a ton, but that's, if I move that into position, you can see where I have that in relation to the arm in relation to the plunger. It's slightly in front, but when I bend it, it'll be a lot closer. Okay, so I'm gonna move this back to here. Sorry, get the tripod thing going. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put this on and just rest it. You can see it doesn't fit. That's okay. I'm okay with what's happening here. It's not, you can see there's not much arm supporting that, but here's the cool thing about the ant rest. Watch this. I can just bend it out. Now you can see it's way out, which is fine. You can bend that wire up dozens of times before it starts to get weak. I don't want it out that much. I was just showing you, I mean, like this thing will go way out, and then I can just push it back into place and get it kind of to the point where I want it. That's not bad right there. Like I said, I'm going to put a bend in it that will be a little more suitable for my liking. And now, but what I'm going to do, whoops, get this back into place. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to look down the riser. I'm going to set it into a little better position where I can look down it and just see the alignment of everything on the biter blocks and try to make sense of it and make sure that it's all kind of visually center shot. Okay guys, so what you're seeing on the right side here, on the left side is my hot water heater. On the right side, this is really kind of difficult to do. You see the biter block. The biter block obviously shows you the center of the limb, and you can see how this is kind of running down the center of the riser. It's kind of, your view of this is going to be different than the way I'm seeing it. The camera angle is just a little weird, but I know it looks like it's slightly off center, but it's not. It's quite centered in the middle. And as I go down, you can see, and again, it's not perfectly like the way I see it. Like, so that is pretty close to perfect visually. And as I go down, you can see that my arrow is running right down the center of my string. And then as I continue down, you will see that the next biter block is right in line with the center. It is all center, center, center. I've had to do no changes or make any adjustments to the limb laterally at all. So it's actually quite perfect. And again, as I come up, you can see the arrow running right down the string, as quite center as it gets. And as I come back up, it goes right in the middle of those biter blocks. And that's exactly what you want, like center, center, center. And then you can fine tune from there, left, right. Sorry, I hit that button prematurely. You can fine tune from there with your center shot, moving your plunger in and out, trying to get it to where, however you need it to be or wherever you need it to be. In 50 meters, I find is a little more critical than indoor. But I will definitely play with center shot indoor as I need to. So now what I'm gonna do, I have to adjust the rest. So the arm is flat and it does not hold the arrow on very well. So like I mentioned, I'm gonna bend this wire to suit how I hook this, how I like a little bit of a bend on the arrow rest to keep the arrow in place while I draw. If there's any shaking or anything odd, this thing can simply come right off. But I'm gonna bend it and put a itty bitty hook or turn on it to help keep it in place while I'm shooting. I'm gonna go grab my other rest and show you what I've done with that, so you have an idea of what I do, and then you do it to how you see fit. Be right back. So here's the current rest I'm shooting. You can see how I put a little bend in it and it hooks up. And again, that's just to kind of help keep that arrow in place while it's on the rest so it doesn't fall off. I'll probably put this same or similar bend in this new rest just so it's consistent. But I like it to come. I will lower this arm and then turn that up just so this is out of the way a bit. Okay, so you probably can see that there is a bend in this now. I had to unscrew that bolt again and lower that arm because I bent it up. It was sitting high. Now that you can see when I knock an arrow with that bend in there, that arrow sits nice. And it's hard to even push off the edge because it's bent up and outward, which is obviously keeping it in place. Also, I'll move the camera in to show you. I'm gonna take it off the tripod here and show you that how I run it. It is the plunger, if you can see, it's hard to focus, but is running, whoa, right down the middle of that arrow shaft. So it's making contact right in the middle, and that's how I want it. I want it seated right in the middle of that shaft. Okay, so we just did the rest, and then as you guys know, we have to do the nock locator point. But before we do that, we're going to adjust the brace height and the tiller. And what we'll do, the reason I don't want to mess with these is because if I do adjust the tiller, it's going to change my nock locator point. So I don't want to do this until not dead last, but pretty much last. I don't want to have to mess with that. So what we're going to do, so this is a 25-inch riser, and these are long limbs, and the recommended brace height is 8.75 to 9.5 for this brace height. So let's see where this is at right now. Right now it's just under 9. I like to use the metric system, so it's 22 and a half, and we're just under 9 with this thing. But for those of us, or maybe you, that like to use the metric system, I'm at 22 and a half here. And then, so again, metric system at the top, 18 and a half. I haven't adjusted anything. We haven't touched these tiller bolts at all. So I'm 18 and a half here and 18 dead here. Now I'm gonna wanna flip-flop this personally. I'd rather see a little, maybe closer to 18 and a half and 19 on the bottom, and at the top, 18 and a half, 18 to 18 and a half, just depending on how we situate this. I haven't even looked at these tiller bolts. I just set this up. You watched me do it, set it up right the way they came out of the box. So again, 18 and a half and then 18. So I'm gonna want to, we're gonna take the limbs off and see how these tiller bolts are in or out, if they're backed in too far or backed out, and then make the adjustment that way. I'm not gonna turn them with the limbs on. It'll kind of damage the paint a little bit. So help me remember, because I'm poor at remembering. 18 and a half on top, 18 on the bottom. So let's just take these off. We'll take the limbs off and just look at the tiller bolt. And you can see that's backed out quite a bit. Not quite a bit, it looks like maybe 4 turns. And then this one obviously like maybe 4 as well, 4 and change. These are 40-pound limbs. Like I said, I shot 46 for a long time. When I first started shooting Olympic recurve, I was actually shooting, I think 48 or close to 50, may have been over 50. And I didn't realize what the heck I was doing, but it worked fine. I was able to do it. My hunting bows are all 50 and higher, and those are recurves as well. But what I'm gonna do, like I said, I'm not gonna mess too much with the tiller bolts. I can do that when I'm actually shooting and tuning the bow while I'm shooting it. I can, if I need more tension or less, depending on how that arrow is flying, I can make that adjustment accordingly. The way they're set up, I have no idea where the limbs are at. I draw 29 and a half. Usually a 40 gets me at 43. What I'm simply gonna do is I'm going to equalize these so that, these tiller bolts are graduated. They have little marks on them so you can see, you can put them in a very consistent place. So what I might do is I might put an extra turn. I'm going to equalize them anyway. I'm going to put an extra turn in this one, in the top one. So remember, we always go through the back first. We unlock that sucker. So if I look at this, I see 4 on the bottom. I'm actually going to go in. Let's see how many turns it is in. So there's 1. Get this out. There's 2. Yep, I was close. There's 3 full. And it looks like 3 1/4. So I'm gonna go out 1, 2, and now I got 4 on the bottom. And I don't know how that's gonna turn out with the tiller. I have no idea what that's gonna look like. And then this is gonna be roughly the same, but I'm only gonna go out about a half. I'm gonna unscrew this. I'm gonna equal it out. And so let's see what we got here. 3, there's my 4. Maybe I'll just go out that little bit. That's like a 1/4 turn. And I'm not tightening it. I'm just making it snug so they don't move. And then we're gonna remount this and see where it sits. Okay, in place. String on. We're gonna snap it. Here, that's sitting into place. That's my plunger, just a little loose. And then we're gonna remeasure. So 18 dead, perfect, 18 and a half. It's kind of just exactly what I was hoping for. Okay guys, so you could see, again, there was absolutely nothing scientific about what I did there, right? So we're sitting at right about 18.5 on the bottom. And if you can see that, right about 18. Is that blurry? My eyes are blurry. I can't see very well. Let me see if I can't touch the screen. Oh, is it coming into clear? I don't know what you can see. That's 18, just a hair under 18 there, and 18.5. I could probably go out maybe a little bit, but I'm gonna leave it right where it sits. Okay, so I have the tiller somewhat where I want it. Like I said, 18, 18.5, it's close. That's, like I said, 18 right on there, 18.5, really, really close. And I do, like I said, I do want a little less on the, a little more on the bottom. We crawl, we got a little extra load on the bottom. I kind of want to mitigate that a bit. So we take some of that brace height out on the bottom. Nextly, we work on the nock point. Now remember, we'll probably end up having to change move the tiller bolts to tune the arrow a little better as we're shooting. We don't do it now, we'll do it while we shoot. If the arrow's showing too stiff, I need to put some turns in those tiller bolts. If it's showing too weak, I need, obviously the opposite. So we need to use the tiller bolts to help tune the arrow, plus a little bit of center shot if we need to. Plus, as we get those groups tightened, we can use the plunger as well. So all I'm going to do now is put the bow back on. I can do it holding it. I usually do this. I'll just hold it, but just so you can see. And I'm looking at, all I'm doing is visually looking at my nock height. I actually like that where it's at. I can actually see, you can see level when you use marks on the bow. In this case, where the plate that's sitting in the riser, I can see flat or even. Of course, the arrow, I can see it flat or even. It's slightly higher on the tail end. This is a good starting place, and I'm totally fine with this. If I need to change the nock height, again, I can adjust the nock height while I'm shooting. I'm not going to do it now. There's no point. It just needs to be somewhat level-ish, slightly higher than level, just to begin and start shooting. And then I tune the nock height as I'm shooting, just like the tiller bolts. The other thing people don't understand, or maybe are confused about, when you back the bottom limb out, because you're backing this limb out, it's going forward, right? The top of the limb at the limb pocket is going forward. It's making it weaker. The bottom of the limb is going up, which makes the nock points go up. In other words, if I back this out, that top limb overpowers the bottom limb and lifts the nock point up. So that's something you have to take into consideration as you're tuning. You need to pay attention. If you're backing that bottom limb out, the nock point is going to go higher. You need to just pay attention to that. That's the downside about tuning for barebow. It's not like tuning Olympic recurve. We're not trying to keep things that kind of static. We crawl. The crawl changes so many things. Like the lower I crawl, the more tension gets built on that bottom limb. We're pulling more from the bottom than we are the top. And again, if we need to change tiller, we do that accordingly. So that comes with detail in shooting, in tuning while I'm shooting, which we're gonna go do now. I'm gonna take my weights off. Actually, I'll put my HOYT weight on here. We're gonna put some weights on this bow, weight it to where it seems kind of nice, like maybe where I would like it. I don't know. I'll just weight it the way I've been weighting my other XCEED and see if it does what I want it to. If not, I'll make changes accordingly. But you don't know until you shoot it, right? So this is bare. I'll put the weights on now, and then we'll see what we get. So let's go. Let me go get my HOYT weights, and we'll put them on and see what kind of changes we'll need to make. Okay. So what I have here are the HOYT weight kit. This kit comes with your bolt and your washer to hold the main piece in place. And it comes with a 20, the ring for a 20, a 30 ounce, so that's ounce, 20 ounce, 30 ounce, and a 40 ounce, which is what this is sitting on right now. It's sitting in with a 40 ounce. I don't know that I want to shoot that much out of the front bushing. I'm going to put my, I'll probably put my 30 ounce weight instead of the 40, and I'll probably add some weight to the riser. I know there's a trend, and the trend, in my opinion, is wrong. People are overloading their riser with weight, and I think it's too much, and I think it changes the dynamic abilities of the bow itself when it's being shot. I think too much weight in the riser is not a good thing. I know people like the weight. I know they like the feel of the bow when it's heavy and in their hands. That's fine. It's all good and well. You do you. My opinion is just my opinion. But I have spoken to Doug Denton, of course, who's obviously one of the greatest engineers we've had in this sport, doing this stuff, setting this stuff up, and he does concur with me in saying that by adding too much weight to the riser, it does definitely dynamically change the mechanics of the bow. I am not an engineer. I do not understand physics. However, intuitively, I kind of put that idea in my head because I think in exaggerations, if the limbs were very weak and the weight was very heavy, the bow would want to pull itself down at the riser or forward. And just by thinking of it that way, I came up with that idea, or that conclusion, that too much weight would not do what this bow is meant to do. So we have to weight it appropriately. And what is that? You know, who really knows? I mean, people have ideas of what the bow should feel like or look like when it's weighted, or how it should shoot. But some people just like the heavy mass, a massive riser, heavy mass riser. I think it just needs to be just like the arrow with the bow. It's a perfect balance. It's a perfect dance. I also think the weight of the bow also needs to be a perfect balance and a perfect dance. That being said, I'm going to take the 40 and turn it into I'm going to go with 20. I'm going to put my 20 on. So I'm going to go from 40 to 20 and then add my ramrods weights on the riser, and one on the top bushing. And then we're going to go shoot and see how it works out. So let me go swap this out and I'll be right back. Okay, guys. So I have my HOYT weight, and what I have in front of me is coconut oil. And what I do, so if you have a HOYT weight or you've had a HOYT weight, these threads are fairly coarse. And they tend, because they're so coarse and metal on metal, the threads tend to bond. And what I have done in the past, I don't tighten them super tight because those coarse threads kind of get stuck, and I've had that happen today. So what I'm going to do is I have this wrench I put in here to hold the core, and then I unscrew the outer ring. There it is. And then, like I said, I'm going to put my 20 on, and what I do, and it's still kind of lubed, but I take the ring and I take a little bit of coconut oil and I just smear it on the inside, and it just helps lubricate those threads on the inside, and it keeps it from bonding. It's very simple. You can use probably any kind of oil. Just coconut is what I have hanging around. It's fine. It works just fine. You could probably also use bowstring wax, would probably also do the job fairly well. And then again, there's the main, and I just screw it on. I don't make it super tight. Once it gets to the bottom, I barely put any pressure. See, it's getting close. Barely put any pressure, still rolling, and done. I don't wrench it down. Even if it comes loose, I can hear it if anything, but I just give it, that's it. I barely put that into place. And now we'll take the main HOYT weight and we'll screw it in the center bushing. So here's my 30, put that there, put this all back into place, close that. Okay, so this comes with the crush washer, the brass washer, and the big bolt. And we're not gonna do anything fancy with this. Get the right wrench, Allen wrench, which is a 1/4 inch. Put it in, put my washer on the back, hold it up to the front, tip it, get that started. Okay, now that it's started, tip it again. I'm just gonna snug it. Remember, so this is a round weight and it's offset, so it will pendulum, right? It'll pendulum. You can see that thing, that's pendulum. And then I let it just sit at center, and then I just snug it into place ever so slightly. And there it is, sitting center. I don't crush this into place. I mean, I'll give it a little snug, of course, but that's enough. And then I'm looking for its balance. It's not exactly where I want it yet. It's pretty dang close. The 30 might put it right where I want it, but I like a little riser weight, which you'll see me do. You guys know me. I've been doing this for a couple of years. I'll put a little bit of weight a little farther back in the riser and just weight it back here. So let's do that. And for that, I'll use the Ramrod's weights with tungsten powder. Okay, so I'll be right back with that. Okay, so I'm back. What you see here, I have a threaded rod. I believe that's an 1.5 inch threaded rod. I have 2 tungsten powder weights. These particular weights are 4 ounces each, so another total of 8 ounces. And what I have in my hands are mylar or plastic washers. I put these on the inside of the cap just to protect the finish of my bow. I don't want it getting scratched or scraped. And then same for the threading on the inside. I just have this was a plastic tube that just happens to fit those threads. It's actually loose, which is fine. It doesn't make any noise whatsoever. It's just plastic. And I cut it to length so it would meet the inside diameter of this portion here. And then I'll cap it again and then screw on the other tungsten weight. And what I do is I sandwich the riser in. I've been doing this for a few years now. Idea thanks to my friend Chris Garcia. So that being said, usually I put it in this portion of the riser so it's a little set back. I will probably start one above that, like in this hole here. And then if I need to move it, I will. I won't know until I shoot and get a feel for this bow. So looking at my threads, I just put that in, put that cap on. There's my other weight. I just get that kind of started, and then we sandwich it in and twist them in opposite directions, snug it, and that's good. That will loosen up over time, but I'm really liking how that's balancing. It's a little better than it was. We're gonna add a little bit of top weight, and that will pull that forward just ever so slightly. I will add another 4 on top, and let me go get that. Okay, I'm back. I have one more 4 ounce threaded, tungsten powder weight and a threaded rod. This is a 1 inch. What I do with this, so these threaded rods I get from Ramrods have a hex on one side and not on the other. So you want to make sure when you're putting this one in to the riser forward, when you're only using one, make sure your hex portion is facing out so you can get to it if you need to. If you put it in flipped and it gets too tight, you won't be able to get it out. You might not be able to get it out. So what I do is I just find the back end, and that's the threaded side, and I just start that I just thread that in there, and I go about halfway, and then I can get to that Allen wrench portion in the front, and I put this in the top bushing, and you should be able to start this without it spinning too badly. And there we go, it's in. Now I just take my Allen wrench, put it in, screw it in, and turn that weight at the same time. So you can see I'm turning that weight, and then I need some threads in there. I don't need all of them in there, but some. Once that's bottomed out, I can still see a pretty decent amount of bolt here. And remember, that's only 1 inch. So I'm gonna screw that in a bit more. So I'm about halfway into the weight. One more turn, that's probably good enough. And then when I snug this, it will pull those threads and tighten that into place. And this is pretty much how I will weight this bow, just the way you see it. And you can see with that little extra weight on top, that thing wants to balance a little better, ever so slight. It's going forward, and that's what I want. I want that thing to balance pretty well. And that's it. This is how we're gonna start and shoot this bow. 20 ounce here, 4 and 8. And then unfortunately, the weights that I have from ramrods, the tungsten powder, do not fit in that pocket. So this pocket obviously this limb pocket has obviously been a little redesigned. It's been tweaked, that it does not fit that ramrod's weight in there. So be it, that's fine. I'm sure ramrods will make another weight to fit that, and we'll get that sooner than later, I bet. That being said, this bow is set for me and ready to start shooting. And then I'll do a final tune as I'm shooting it. Like I said, I have less than a week before that Texas Ringer shoot, indoor 20 yards or 18 meter shoot. So I'm gonna go shoot this right now. I'm excited to shoot it and see how it does. And we'll give you some feedback and take it from there. Hopefully you figured something out, learned something, saw something you liked. In this quick setup, I know it might not be quick. I have no idea how long I've been doing this. Maybe an hour, I don't know. But hopefully you saw something, you learned something, or you have questions. I don't know, let me know. Put something in the comments. If you like what you see here on my channel, please, of course, like and subscribe. And let's go shoot and make this look good. All right, kids, peace.